Test, 1, 2, 3. Test. Got it. Okay, good. We're going.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Oh, good. Glad to see you, Jeff and Bill, Steve, Ray, Brian, John, Jack. Oh, look, we got a whole bunch of guys here today. So what we're going to do is have a real short conversation this morning. I'm going to start by telling you yesterday we had 18 firms in our first talk installation training, and that was the final opportunity for those 18 firms to say, yes, we're going to become a talk accounting firm or not. Out of the 18, 15 signed up. Now, that's unheard of response. That's 80% plus people that actually touched the software for 2 days saying, are you kidding me? This is the best thing I've ever seen. And that's exactly what I'm hoping we get a chance to do when I see you either in Chicago or Emeryville or Orlando coming up in the very near future. If you have not talked to Caitlin and signed up to come to this 2-day seminar, here's what we talked about. 2 things. How do we get clients, and how do we get the work done once we have those clients? With the idea that how can I get 100 of these people paying me $1,500 a month or more? Or how can I get 1,000 people and maybe paying me $495 or $795 or $995 a month? Is that possible? No one's gotten to 1,000. We don't know. We do know half a dozen people that have gotten to over 400. One guy we know over in Denver is at 650. He's not even our customer. He has his own system and he specializes in restaurants. But wouldn't that be a sweet business to have 650 people sending you $1,000 a month? You would not be worrying about doing a reconciliation or worrying about somebody getting their bank statement down to you on time. If you had that kind of a business, you would have systems in place, you would have employees in place. Your job would be to move the ball from 650 to 651, and hopefully you're adding one a day when you've got that much gravitas behind you. And we're looking to get you there. So this morning we're going to talk real briefly. You can ask questions anytime. I'll stop and answer them. I can't have open mic because we'd have a cacophony of background noise with 20 people on the phone, and nobody'd be able to hear anything. So let's just talk about how to get monthly clients. And, monthly accounting has been maligned for the last 20 years because the future of it has been bleak. It's been predicted that it's going to die and fall off the face of the earth. But the more we see of these young, smart people coming in business, they don't want to have a bookkeeping department. And the data entry portion of bookkeeping, that's what's going to really disappear. Heck, I'm going to show you how to disappear it in the next 15 minutes. But that's not the whole accounting cycle. And there's a lot left to once you get data into a software, a lot left to figure out how to create actionable reports, a lot left helping the client understand those actionable reports and what they should do next, and then holding them accountable. And that accountability means, here's the 20% of what your reports say makes you money. Why did you work on that other thing last week? And you only have to say that a couple of times on your weekly meetings, and all of a sudden your clients are like laser pointed because no one's ever held them accountable. And you'll do it in a pleasant, helpful manner. And we love that. That's a parade horse for Lynn and I to be able to go back to our clients on a regular basis. If they're paying us over $1,500 a month, we would call them, or a week, we would call them weekly. Now I got that wrong. If they were paying us $1,500 a month or more, we would talk to them weekly, 10, 15 minutes max. If they were paying us under that, we would talk to them once a month. But those calls created long-term healthy relationships that allowed us to continue to expand what we were doing for the client. And as they opened new businesses, we got that client too, or as they got referrals for us, especially the vendor referral marketing program. We were able to expand our business through that rapidly. In this seminar yesterday, we had a lot of people say, well, how did you get 104 clients? And I smiled and said, I didn't get 104. I got 220 over 5 years. 220 outsourcing clients. When we sold, we had 104 clients. And here's the reason why is because in our weekly calls, if we found a client that was uncooperative, of course, the most primary uncooperative is they don't pay their bills on time or they complain about their bills. Second is they're not cooperative about getting documents to us on a timely basis. And the third cooperation factor was do they follow our advice? The fourth one was are they nice people? And nice people included the question are they dishonest or not? Are they trying to shave the government all the time? Because if they are, then it's going to be a pain in the neck because they're going to get caught, and then they're going to blame me. They're not going to blame themselves. So we had a series of questions to get people out, and they had a series of questions about us. The 100 people that canceled us over that 5-year period, the 100 people that got canceled, about half of them canceled us because they didn't want us telling them how to run their business. And they didn't want our advice. They just wanted us to do books, keep it really cheap, send me the reports. I don't want to hear what you got to say. And I would look at them and say, but dude, you're not making any money. Maybe you need some help. I'm doing just fine. I don't need your 2 cents. I don't think you need us at all, would be my reply. And we would get fired that way. So we ended up with 104 clients. All of those clients, though, the day we sold that firm in 2012 in December, all of them were worth $1 million or more, because we had worked with them to get their business up to the point where if they had put that business up for sale, they would have been able to sell that business for $1 million. And I'm pretty damn proud of being able to say that about my wife. And interestingly, she is not some kind of a great business consultant. I'll tell you exactly what she would ask customers. I'm looking at your dashboard, your key performance indicators. Here's what I see you did last week that you did really good at. It made a lot of money. How can I help you do more of that next week? That was her total sum of her consulting skill set. Here's what you're doing that works. How can I help you do more? And the client would come up with dozens of things. They always went like this, though. Well, Lynn, you really can't do this. I need to make this decision and do this step. Next week, they would talk about that step. And Lynn would give them one more idea. And they kept improving their operation on their own with that one simple question. Here's what you're doing that works. How can I help you do more? And that turned her clients into millionaires. And not all of them, half of them fired us or we fired them. But the ones that stayed with us became millionaires because they kept focusing on the right things and doing more and more of the right thing. Okay, so, and I mentioned one other thing. The vendor referral program, this was something we discussed in depth yesterday with the 18 accounting firms, and it's not in my slideshow this morning, so I think I'll just tell this to you. We got the majority of our business from 2 places. One, we didn't operate as a CPA firm. Well, that was pretty easy. Lynn's not a CPA. But we would go to the 86 CPA firms within 5 or 8 miles of our house, and she would stop in or mail those people 4 times a year. She would stop in once or twice a year, and she would say, do you have any clients who can't get a bookkeeper or keep a bookkeeper that we should be doing their books for them? And we got over half our business from those 88 people. Which was great with us because the accountant wanted to keep the $750 tax return because he got the work done in an hour, and he was tickled pink to have that $750 a year for an hour's work. We wanted $1,500 a month, and Lynn didn't put an hour into it. Well, I guess with her call she did. But she has the same hour a month, but she's getting 15, but she's getting that 1,500 every month, not 750 once a year. So the CPA was happy. He had good numbers. He could do even a faster, easier tax return. We were happy because we were making big fat deposits. The other place we got business was from our vendor referral. And I'm going to tell you that right now. As soon as we start doing work for a client, I've got their books. If I have their books, I have their customer list and I have their supplier list, their vendors. And once we established that we were helping this client, and this might take 2 or 3 months, Excuse me. But once that was established, we would go to a lunch meeting with that client, pull out a spreadsheet of their vendors, and say, who on this list do you know? Now, sometimes the vendor is going to be Tucson Electric. They don't know the guy at Tucson Electric, so that's no value. But it might be the subcontractor down the street. It might be one of their suppliers. But they knew way more than half the people on their vendor list. And I would just have go through and mark it with a yellow pin. Can I tell these people about what we're doing for you every week on the phone? And they would always say yes. So I just got an endorsed referral to 20, 30, 40 people. And so I would mail those 20 or 30 or 40 people a first class sales letter. Now, I had their email address also because it was in the customer records in QuickBooks. And so, what an easy way for me to expand the business by going to the vendor referrals. And everybody will tell you, I mean, they don't care if you call their vendors. You know, you can screw this guy's books up and he's still going to sell me stuff. So here's a referral. Yeah, call him. Be successful. Good luck to you, Lynn. And go get them. So it was such a simple, easy thing to do. And I'm amazed that we all don't do that. But those were really our two biggest campaigns up until the moment we discovered that phone apps are viral. And that's where we're going to start this morning. Guess I should have filled up my coffee cup before I started. Okay, so you have the AutoKept app. And that AutoKept app is now private labeled. If you don't have it working on your phone, get on the phone with Caitlin or Oz, and they will get it set up and working for you. We have an additional customer support representative now, too. Our next hire will be another programmer based on all the gaps we were told about in our system yesterday. By those 18 people, they showed us a lot of things we need to work on. But we now have two full-time customer service reps that understand this software forward and back. They understand AutoKept and Talk. They'll help you get up and running. They're on the phone today, those 15 people who signed up yesterday, so that we can have their first client running on Monday. And I told them they should expect their back office overhead to drop 75,000 or more in the first 12 months. In the second 12 months, they'll probably see a total of 150 to 250,000 in reduced overhead because it doesn't take as long to get work done now. Work is going to become so quick that it allows us to focus a lot more resources on working with that client so the numbers become actionable. So you've private labeled this phone app. Now I want you to start giving it away to 3 people a day. Now this is actually going to be hard to do the first day because it amounts to just walking up to people and talking to them. And you may not have it in you to do it, but if you just force yourself the first day or two, you'll realize how simple this is. But everywhere I go, I show AutoKept. If I'm in an elevator, I will pull out a receipt and say, you want to see something really cool? Click, talk, show it to them. Isn't that neat? Well, half the people in the elevator are going to go, yeah, that's neat, but why? Who cares? Well, that's fine. They don't care. They don't have the problem. They never had a bookkeeper scream at them because there's a missing receipt. So they're not a prospect. But do you know what the other people say? God, I could use that. Let me give it to you. And you hit share. What's your phone number? Click, click, click. It'll show up in a link. Download it. Try it. If you like it, pay the accountant. And he gets $87 a year for that. Piece of cake. And you can do that 3 times a day because within a year you'll have 1,000 people on that system. Now, will that generate business? Here's an email I got from Steve Ziegler on the 16th. That was 2 days ago. Right before I was ready to leave for Phoenix to do the 2-day seminar, I get this email from Ziegler, and yada, yada, yada. Just wanted you to know that guy we talked to in Houston, I billed him $40,000 so far this year. And I'm going to tell you that guy in Houston. Let me tell you the story now. Steve and I went to, and a lot of you that have been to our seminars know Steve. He's been a customer of ours for years over in Pennsylvania. We went to a real estate investment seminar in Florida in January. And I was walking around with Steve showing people the AutoKept app. Because he wasn't giving it away. You know, he bought it. He keeps waiting for somebody to call him on the phone and say, hey, are you one of those AutoKept guys? Can I get the app? Well, that never works. So I said, Steve, watch this, how easy it is. And over the course of the 3-day seminar, I probably gave away 100 copies of the app to the 200 people in the room. I got 100 of them to take it. But one of the times, Steve was standing there with me, and I said, look at this. And the person that I was showing it to was in the real estate business doing $3.5 million a year in revenue. I blacked out his name because that's not fair for me to tell Steve's clients everybody. But I showed him the app. He looked at me and said, oh my God, I need that. And I said, are your books a mess? You would not believe how far we are behind. And Steve stepped forward and said, I'm a CPA. I can help. I stepped away and let Steve take over, and he got the client right there. $40,000 so far this year through August. He'll probably end up billing this guy what, 60,000 this year and 60,000 next year. I mean, isn't that exciting? Just simply because he walked up and said, "Isn't this the coolest thing you ever saw?" And do you know I've never had anybody hit me for that? Even cute girls that I show it to, and what's your phone number, honey? They never smack me. They just give me their number. Sometimes they give me a sly smile and say, that is the cleverest way to get my number I've ever seen, which of course I laugh and show them my wedding ring and a picture of my wife. But no one's ever said, you piece of crap. No one's ever been negative. And I just want to tell you that's so easy to just go out and pass it out because this is the cheapest bookkeeping in the world. Now, the guy down there in the Houston real estate guy, he cannot use AutoKept. But when we showed it to him and said it's $87 a year, he started talking to us about his accounting problems. And he would not have started that conversation if we had not walked up and done something totally unique that just happened to be a problem he had. And that's called sorting. I didn't convince anybody that I saw in that Florida seminar to buy accounting. I just simply wanted to sort through people. Hey, look what we've got, that sort of thing. So if you're giving this away 3 times a day, over the course of the year, you're going to end up with 1,000 people in your house list. These are people that they'll download the app. When they do, they have to put their email address in it. If they go through the setup process, they write in all the rest of their information like city, state, zip phone, etc. But we have their mobile number and their email as soon as they download it, click that link. And almost everyone I give the app to will at the very least download it. So now I know who they are. And once I know who they are, then I can start sending them monthly emails. I can start touching on them. I'll always start with the AutoKept. It's a simple way to do money in, money out. Goes to a basic pegboard spreadsheet. Works on mileage or expense reports or tax deductions or mail. Everything is organized. The value to you of this is that at tax time, these smaller clients doing under $10,000 in sales, where the $80,000 or $87 program works, and that's $10,000 a month. Once a guy goes over $10,000 a month, AutoKept is not going to work for him. And we never propose that it will. And some accountants have said, but there's no balance sheet, there's no trial, there's no reconciliations. I said, yeah, but the little guy's not doing that now. So you're giving them organization of all their documents, and if you want to reconcile their account, do it once a year. If you want to create a balance sheet, help yourself. But this guy really wants to know cash in, cash out. Is there any left over at the end of the month? And so all we need to do is just share it and just walk up to people and show it to them. And Bill, I know you can do this because you're a sharing kind of guy. And some of you others, I think, Ann, you could do this. Jeff, you could do this. And do it today. Just when you're standing in the lunch line, pull out a receipt, take a picture, talk, show it to the guy behind you. And if they're amazed, then you know that they've been yelled at by their bookkeeper. If they're not amazed, they don't do bookkeeping. It's not a problem for them. That's not a prospect. You sort that one off and you go talk to somebody else. And if I sit down at the Starbucks, I can guarantee you the 2 people sitting next to me are going to see AutoKept. I can guarantee you they're going to see AutoKept. If I go to the cigar store, I'll walk into the lounge to smoke my cigar, and I guarantee you the 5 old white guys in there smoking are all going to see AutoKept. Okay, good. Now, let's go on to the next one. AutoKept is our loss leader. So I've given you three big marketing campaigns now to get new clients. One is call on the other accounting firms. Do you know anybody that's quit? The second one is the vendor referral program. Go to your clients and get their names. Now, I will tell you that installing AutoKept or installing Talk with your current clients will give you a reason to ask them to endorse you to their vendors. If you just go in right now today and you've been doing the same old form for the last 6 years, they're probably going to be, unless they love you to death, they're going to be a little reluctant to start introducing you to all their friends. But do something big, new, and interesting, and they want to tell the world about it. Everybody wants to share the latest, greatest technology anymore. But what and the third one, of course, giving away the AutoKept. So CPAs, vendor referral, giveaway AutoKept. We have others, but we'll talk about those in next week's meeting. All right, now, these new hot dog business owners that are coming online today do not want employees. They are adamantly against filling the building up with bodies. Some of your old timers like having a full-time bookkeeper. They want the three of them quit every 5 years. They don't care. They're going to have a bookkeeper because they just like having some nice little woman in the back they can talk to during the lunch hour, or somebody to answer the phone when I got to run down the street or whatever. My best prospect today is the person whose bookkeeper just walked out, either because they got fired for incompetence, or they got caught embezzling, or because their husband moved and they got to move too. Something happened, they left, and I'm now in a problem. That's a very good prospect for me. And the other very good prospect are the new businesses coming online. These young guys love technology and they do not want employees. So I want to go after that person, and here's what I'm bringing to them. And this has a big impact on you. This is the same slideshow we talked about last week. We talked about it again yesterday. It is so critical to our thinking process. But 80% of all the overhead that you as an accountant or bookkeeper suffer, 80% of all your cost happen between the time the client writes a check or makes a deposit or a sale or whatever. Whenever they do something financially, at that moment, you need that information in their accounting software. 80% of your cost is getting that information away from the client into your office, made correct, entered into the accounting software, so you have the moment of the green flash. And the green flash is when everything's put into the tax software, the bookkeeping software, or whatever else you're doing. The minute all the data is accurately in your computer, you hit return, and the reports are created in 1/100th of a second. Might take a few seconds for it to pull up on the screen, but it only takes a computer 1/100th of a second to do all that work. However, getting that work up to the point of the green flash is 80% of your overhead last year. And if we could collapse that, then we could have tremendous profitability in the businesses that we're running. That means that we can do a write-up client for anywhere from $5 to $20 a month. We can do full service clients where we're sending out their invoices and their bills, etc., for between $100 and $200 a month. But remember, we're billing that full service client $800, $900, $1,000, $2,000, sometimes $4,000 a month, but it's only going to cost us a couple of $100 to do it. That's okay. That's why companies like Walmart and Amazon got gigantic. They didn't necessarily discount their fees as a cost plus margin set. Their prices are based on what everybody else charges. We'll charge 5% less. But what no one knows is their back office operation cost to put that product out there on the shelf is so phenomenally lower than everyone else out there in the marketplace that a lot of times they retail products and services less than your clients can buy them at wholesale. So that's why so many of our product selling clients have disappeared over the last 25, 30 years because automation in a big company has put those product sellers out of business. Most small business today are selling a service, not a product. Okay, so what? That's fine. What we want to know is how can I take that 80% where most of the work that's being done in software and technology today is making the green flash cooler. What we want to do is focus on the client and get that document away from them as fast as possible. And I mean, I'm talking within seconds. If they're using the phone, I've got that transaction in my computer system instantly. If they're using a debit card and they go down to the 7-Eleven and buy a hot dog and a Coke on a debit card, I want to know where they were at. Was it more than 50 miles from their house? Were they with somebody else? Did they just stop and have lunch and charge it to the company on the company debit card? If I can know that information in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to be able to give them a great dashboard in real time, and that's exactly where we're going with this. AutoKept was our minimum viable product to migrate us into the real thing we wanted to do, to collapse that 80% of your overhead between the client and the green flash. And what that means is we want to figure out a way to get that work from the client right into the accounting software, and that really happens using Talk. And what Talk does is allows a high school kid to simply talk to a computer screen using artificial intelligence in the background and to read the transactions off the screen. And that works 99 plus percent of the time on accuracy. OCR does not work to do this. Everyone's working on it. That's all these people out here in technology are working on OCR. I think it's insane because right now I can hire a $10 an hour girl and she can nail 600 transactions in a 2-hour shift. 600 transactions will be 50 of your clients. So you got 50 clients out there sending you documents every day, whether they're write-up or full service. One girl in 2 hours can nail all the data entry for all 50 clients. Are you kidding me? And you're paying her $10 an hour? Can you imagine what the impact of that is going to be? So all we need to do is teach our client, use your scanner, use company cards, and use your phone when that doesn't happen. So if you handwrite a check, which I don't know if that ever happens anymore. I don't think I've written a check myself probably for 10 or 12 years now, because we've been early adopters to all of this stuff for a long time. But if even when they do use the debit card, if they forget to record the transaction right then, under Talk, this doesn't have it in AutoKept, but under the upgrade Talk that we actually install on our client's computer at their office, it pushes a little query out to them. In about 1 hour after they use their debit card or credit card, it pushes a query out and says, we see you just spent $5.45 at Starbucks. Was that for food and drinks? And yes. Was it for a business expense? No. Okay, thanks. I know how to code the transaction. And but if they say, yeah, it was for business, what was the business purpose? Who were you with? What did you discuss? All of that now goes into my transaction. Now when that debit card transaction hits my QuickBooks, which is going to happen in 1 hour now, it's already all coded. It's done. And so what happens when we do this is we're giving this client really good information really fast. We're taking all these different ways that they ask us questions and boiling it down to two things that they already know how to do. They know how to throw something on the scanner, they know how to use their smartphone, and they already know how to use bank cards. And if they do handwrite a check, that takes about a day and a half for us to, 2 days, maybe 3 days at the max, for us to actually prompt them with a text message or their phone and say, hey, I see you wrote a check too. Can you tell us what that was about? And the reason we want to do this in real time as fast as possible so they don't forget. I mean, how many times have you called a client up and say, "Would you spend $88 for back in July?" And they have no idea. They make stuff up. Or you make stuff up for them. But we're building errors into the system because we wait too long to ask. And all these transactions are going into your lowest paid person, and they're coming in as a PDF, whether it's a debit card transaction, a credit card, a handwritten check. They scan the mail. All of it's converted to a PDF form so that this part-time person can look at this and just talk those transactions off. 80% of them are going to get coded and imported instantly into the QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, Xero Online, and other software programs as people ask for it. But right now, no one's asked for other stuff. And anything that can't get done automatically goes up to the bookkeeper. She works on 2 screens. She's got 4 choices based on her experience and skill set. She can do the work, or she can delegate the work to someone else in the office because it's a workflow program. Work can be moved back and forth inside the office. Every time work moves around, all of the notes from the client, from the talker, from the bookkeeper, from the other bookkeeper who knows about AR and construction, back to me, all the notes are kept with the transaction. So I've got total collaboration of all the people involved. Mostly the client's notes are all going to be attached to that transaction. So my smart bookkeeper knows what to do. And if they don't, they can always ask the client, which is so simple to do. They're looking at an errand transaction. They can just click on a record button, talk to the screen, say, "Jack, I don't understand what you spent $26 for here. What was this about?" In a few moments on Jack's phone, a text pops up. He clicks that, and there's her message. She talked to the computer, but it came up as a text on his phone. So at the red light, he clicks, what was this transaction about? If I've got to look at the piece of paper to remember, most of the time I don't, because remember, this is happening within hours. So if I send in a transaction at 3 o'clock, at 4:30, I'm getting this text because it's already going through the workflow process. I just tap it, and if I've got to, look at the transaction. But the easiest thing of all is when I want to answer their question, I tap record, I talk to my phone. It hasn't even turned green yet, and my voice converts to a text and goes right back, stamps the collaboration file, the note file, on that document, and that document then pops right back up on my bookkeeper's desk so that she can go ahead and complete it. No phone tag, no waiting for documents. And the nicest thing at all is that this gives us a 99% match on downloaded reconciliations. Can you imagine that? 99% hit. So how do we do this? Start by giving AutoKept away 3 times a day. And once you give it away 6 or 10 times, you're going to realize, hey, this is easy. Nobody hates me. Once in a while, it's going to trigger a conversation that might lead to a $40,000 client. That was an unusual deal. But when I got that email, I had to share it with you today. Then, but you are going to add names to your database. Those people, if we keep in touch with them until the day the bookkeeper walks out, and remember, 20% of all bookkeepers quit every year. So if I got 1,000 people in my database, 200 of them are going to be faced with, what am I going to do now? And if you have an alternative, rather than spend $3,000 a month on salary and $2,000 a month on overhead, $5,000 in cost to have a bookkeeper, if you've got an alternative, instead of 5, why don't you give me $1,500 and I'll give you better stuff, because you're going to get an accurate KPI dashboard on your phone in real time every morning to look at, see how you're doing, and you get to put the other $3,500 in savings. And some guy asked me yesterday, well, is that a big deal, $3,500? I said, it's not, but here's how you can describe it to the client. $3,500 a month going to your bottom line is enough to lease a brand new Rolls-Royce Silver Phantom. Or you could buy a $1 million home and make the mortgage payment on it with that $3,500. Now, if you have a client who actually goes out and gets a Rolls-Royce, get a different client. They're an idiot. But boy, does that put it into perspective. Dropping $3,500 to the bottom line can really have a major impact. Okay, good. Now, we're done talking. If you don't have AutoKept up and running, call Caitlin today, and she or Oz will walk you through it. If you're not coming to one of our 2-day seminars, get registered. Orlando is totally sold out. Chicago still has 10 seats left. We are going to be in San Francisco and in Philadelphia this year in the next couple of months. The sooner you get to one of these, the quicker you can go to your clients and start saving in office yourself this year $75,000 on paper pushing and document management, and then use that new lower price structure to go out and get new clients. You can sweep the market. If you can go into any business and say, I'll cut your cost by half, it's an easy sale. If you go in to compete with any competitor and say, I'm going to underbid the guy by 20, 30, 40%, you're going to get the sale. It doesn't matter because your cost is so low, your net profit in real dollar terms, not percentages, real dollar terms, is the same as the guy down the street, and you've got 100 clients. Okay, good. I'm done talking. There were no questions this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up. I did record this, so if you want to listen to it again, that'd be great. I'll look forward to seeing you in one of our upcoming seminars. And if you were on the phone, you were with us yesterday, thank you so very much for giving us an order. That was way over our expectation for our first time to demo this. And I will tell you the rest of the story. You people that are coming to one of our later in the year 2-day classes, boy, are you lucky you weren't at the first one. We were so much in chaos, but it still worked out. The next one's going to be a lot more fun. Thank you so very much for joining us, and I'll talk to you again next week. Bye now.